What's up, boys? How's everyone doing today? Hopefully, you're doing well. Haven't seen you in a while. A lot to talk about. A little bit late. It's my Monday, July 27th at 1:45 p.m. It's a work day for me, but the weekend was crazy with all the activities, boxing, been real busy. It's my girl's birthday weekend, so I've been juggling a bunch of different stuff. I missed you guys. Haven't gone live in 2 days. It's almost like I haven't gone live in a month. I do want to say we're up. We'll go over that real quick. How'd you guys like the fight? Zuffa just ended. Berlanga stopped Stephen Butler. We knew it would be dramatic. Richardson Hitchens put on a savant-like performance. Domesticated Salas. Who else? Jaleel Hackett. Jaleel Hackett, TV-friendly fighter, 23-year-old. I said in the Discord, Jaleel Hackett is hands down one of my favorite prospects, North American prospects. That kid with his style, how brave he fights, how willing he is to go into a slugfest, he could be a star. That sort of fight style is how you become iconic in our sport, and fans will love you for it. And he fought a really tough Derevyanchenko, beat the dog piss out of him, and in typical Derevyanchenko fashion, he went the distance. So, and then yesterday was Zoom. We had a lot of fun at the fights. We hit a clean sweep on the no limit card. Everything hit from props to decisions. I was at the fights and my phone died, and so we hit 5 tickets this week. I just didn't I didn't count the props I hit because I placed those at the fights kind of like impulsively. I didn't share them with the boys because the phone died. But I hit personally 7 tickets. Of the tickets we played, 5 of them hit. The JSB Discord live stream dog Nestor did not hit. Sometimes you just gotta roll with your boys. You know what I'm saying? When one or two more of the boys say, "Hey Jay, look at this dog, look at this dog." I don't do it all the time, but every now and then I'm like, all right, depending on who's saying it, I'm gonna roll with them. That dog didn't hit. My UFC dog Mike, he lost, and then the only other loss I had was the Hamza Shiraz 1 through 6, and I didn't watch the fights. But other than that, you guys should be up. You should be saving your money. If you could pay a bill, withdraw it, make it real, buy yourself a gift, take your girl out because you should be winning. 3 weeks ago, we hit 5 tickets. Last week, we hit 6 tickets. This week, we hit 5 tickets. All plus money. Hopefully, wherever you are in the world, you're listening. Guys, join our Discord. We're approaching 600. We went from 550 to 600 really quick. So we're growing quick. It's awesome. This weekend is our year anniversary. We should do like a live stream 1 year birthday sort of thing and get like all the boys on the screen. To get into our Discord, you could join on YouTube or Patreon. It's a couple bucks a month. Click that link. If you are a JSB Insider on YouTube or a JSB VIP on Patreon and you're not in the Discord, DM me or email me and I'll send you the link. I'm going to say what's up to everyone now. We got Super Chats, Fresh BX, sitting on his couch watching the fights. Why don't you call the fights? Look, I love doing this. I do enjoy calling the fights. Sometimes after being at the fights yesterday in Sydney for like 9 hours, I just needed to be alone. I don't do well in large groups. I'm old, so I was exhausted. And calling fights take a lot out too. So I do enjoy calling the fights. Max is in here. We up. That fool Berlong was about to cut. No, see, this is look. I'm probably by fault to some of you guys. By nature, I'm an optimist, right? So comments like this he makes, they don't make sense to me because all we care about is winning and moving on. We don't care about. My dad used to say, "There's only almost and only in horseshoes and hand grenades." Almost, boom, lost your hand. Horseshoes, you get a point if it's almost there. Other than that, who are we to win and move on, baby? We're not a channel to dissect and criticize performances. We're a channel to dissect and criticize matchups and then properly dissect the path to victory. One of my favorite moments this weekend wasn't necessarily seeing Tim win. I could talk an hour about Tim's performance. It was me being petty because I was getting trolled all last week on YouTube and Instagram for my take that Tim was going to beat Errol. And I'm just going to say this. Trolls online, they don't like being called dummy. So I went back. I spent like 30 minutes last night when I got home from the fights went on Instagram, went on Facebook, went on YouTube, and he don't know shit about boxing. I guess anybody. And then I just respond to all of them, dummy, dummy, dummy. And then they just disappear. But yeah, I don't think Tim looked good last night. We could talk about that ad nauseum. Obviously, Errol looked exactly how we knew he would look. Everything to the T, to where after the fight, experts like Crawford, who picked Errol to win, is saying verbatim everything that we said in the prediction video. And Bud, Porter, the list, you name it. You know how much money they lost to their fans? This is why I do what I do, because I'm not going to bullshit you. Even if I'm a fan of a fighter, I'm not going to tell you to take a fighter just because I'm a fan of them so we lose our money. The game we're in is to win money. So I think Crawford should have apologized to his millions of fans, because I guarantee even if a small percentage of Bud listened to him, I guarantee they bet on Errol, and I guarantee they lost their money. Rather than just saying all the things that we saw before the fight that he said afterwards. We know why, but it's all good. Youngin hit another moonshot. Youngin gave you guys 100-1 odds dog parlay, and it hit. Shout out to Youngin. If only Shiraz would have made all. Yeah. See, I only had Shiraz 1 through 6 on one ticket, so I didn't even watch the fight. It was a half unit. So I saw the breakdown. I saw you guys were having freaking meltdowns in the Discord this weekend. What's up with that? Fools were getting racist again. You guys were talking shit. I got messaged by like 10 dudes. The moderators were messaging me. Fools got put on silence. Learn to win and learn to lose, guys. Nobody should be having meltdowns anyway. Everybody won. Nobody does it better. Nobody does it better. Boxing fan, where you been at, young buck? We eating in all sports. Boxing fan, boxing fan in the house. OG JSB Insider, my guy. How's yours end up? Oh, Ron. I went to the fights with the Rons. Legend in the game. Ozzy. You guys think I know about boxing? My boy right here goes way back. He was, grew up family members with Anthony Mundine Chalk, and was shoulder to shoulder with Chalk on his run on all those fights internationally. Great hanging out with you last night, man. Always a pleasure chatting it up. Youngin. Luke, I got work in 2 hours after all the winners tonight. I'm raging now. Savage. That was a wild Zuffa car, man. The I like Jalil Hackett, guys. I like it. That kid, people complain. Boxing fans will complain about anything. If a kid is too defensive minded, they'll complain. If a kid gets hit, complain. If he talks too much trash, they'll complain. If he doesn't talk enough, they'll complain. You know what I'm saying? So Jalil Hackett has one of those styles, though, that is so TV friendly, so fan friendly, that it speaks for itself. Ref tackling Butler. Moonshot finally got 2 of them. Your time was coming, brother. The time was coming. I'm going to say, Jay, what do you think about Lamont Roach? Guys, I'm slightly leading Zepeda, strictly stylistically. We got a super chat in the house. Husky, we're way up. Thank you, JSB Academy. Thank you, Johnny. I appreciate you, brother. The hard work is paying off. Appreciate you, man. This is what we do. This is what we do. I'm going to pull up just so you guys have a visual sort of counts. We'll do this real quick because we do it every week. Okay. So, yeah, this is the one I didn't. This is why I didn't share this. This is one of those tickets that I put in as I was at the fights. It was basically all the A sides of the No Limit card except Tszyu, and it cashed out at plus 464. And I know a lot of the boys rode this with me. One of my mates I went to the fights with hit this. Everybody I went with hit. So they took my bets there. This is another one I didn't get a chance to share because my phone had died and I was at the fights. This one paid plus 854. Paulo Cuso and Callum Peters by knockout, and Rita on points. What a card, dude. I got to tell you something, guys. That card was, like, being there, it was insane. It was one of the funnest cards I've been to. Paulo Cuso looked like he was not... Cuso looked like he was stopped on his stool. I didn't think he'd get off the stool in the 7th round. And that kid showed me he had a pair of nuts. Ended up going viral for a knockout. Ahmad Rita shout out to Ahmad Rita, dude. Ahmad Rita is a 21-year-old kid who had like the whole arena in the palm of his hand before the fight. If you guys don't know Paul Fleming's an Australian legend, a 2008 Beijing Olympian, and he was all, it was a competitive fight stylistically. If you watch Fleming's career, you know he was a slick southpaw, could do a lot of things in there. But you can see Paul at this stage of the game, 38 years old. Rita, 22, 23 years old. Rita did too much. I thought the points was a great play there. And then Tim Tszyu. This is one where you guys, I think the longer you guys are in our community, as our community grows, you'll start picking up these sort of moments more often. Whenever we have these sort of fights, these matchups where the casuals come out of the woodwork and even the experts are gaslighting you guys on who's going to win, I'm not always going to get it right, but I'll never gaslight you. And I laid it out step by step why I think Tim was going to win, and that's exactly what we thought. He didn't look great either, though. There were things that I didn't. There were. It was frustrating. I don't know what you do with him. You know what I mean? There were times where he was just in the pocket and he would get caught frozen. Errol would catch him with some body shots and he would get caught with his chin there, just kind of just standing there, not being as active. He threw his jab a little bit more. I wish he has a good jab and it was working when he was landing it. And it was almost like when Timmy was in his, coming up before those losses, Tszyu was the type of guy who had a second gear. He'd hurt you and then he'd follow up. And he can't find that other gear. And if he can't find that other gear, I don't know what you do with him. This was our UFC quad that we hit, our UFC parlay. We hit 1 for 2. We lost our dog, but we hit our quad. If you guys are new to the game, every ticket we give you is plus money. So you're at least doubling your money. And then that's us calling it and predicting it. This is before. If you want to have a fun time and read the comments, click on that on my Instagram. Check out the shit that Errol Spence fans were saying were absolutely insane. The shit that Billy Dib was saying before the fight, and Billy's a friend of mine, was absolutely insane. Now, Bud is saying here.
From the jump, you can tell that his balance was off. He was reaching. He just didn't have it tonight.
Do you think it was a layoff? Do you think it was a combination of things? Like, what do you think?
Probably all of it. All of it? Yeah. He didn't take the punches well. He was slow. Like, you could just tell that Tim was more fresher.
Then why not tell? You didn't have to wait till after the fight, bro, to say that. Bud knew that. He just couldn't. He's not a bettor. He's not going to look at it logically, and I understand that. He was betting with his heart. How did I enjoy the Spence fight? It was awesome. The environment was amazing. No Limit does an excellent job. It was a packed house. The production was amazing. The people were great. I love going to live boxing shows because you guys are my people. I go by myself to a lot of these events too. I do have a couple guys I do go with, but I like I'll go to boxing shows alone and meet and be around boxing heads. And you guys are my people, and it's the best community in the world. Boxing is hands down the greatest sport in the world. Boxing is in a great place. I want to reiterate, boxing globally is in a great place. When we have cards like this week in and week out, and as fans of the sport and bettors, people who make a living off of just focusing on boxing, we got it every week. And the knowledge of the game is so vast, but there's so much to learn with fighters retiring and fighters coming up. I think it really gives our community an upper hand because over time, as we're building and we're growing, there's more and more of us there's more and more of you guys that I'll listen to. You know what I mean? Like, that I trust because you guys are putting in the work. You guys are starting channels. You guys are creating content. You're putting that work in as well. And the more people we could get doing that as a community and we'll all come up like this, it's the law of abundance. I talk about it all the time. The law of abundance versus the law of scarcity. Scarcity is the guy who's like, I don't want to start a YouTube channel. It's too late. Everybody's already doing it. Why would any follow me? And the other law of abundance is like, dude, I'm going to start a YouTube channel. There's so many people on YouTube. There's so many subscribers. It's one of the biggest tech companies in the world. You know what I mean? So the more people within our community that operate how we operate with the research, film study, the non-biased approach, the fact-based logic, the better we'll all be. And I'll support whoever wants to do it. We got Roach versus Zepeda. Everyone's saying Roach. No, I like Zepeda. Paying bills. The chat is on fire. We're 60. There's 60 of you guys in here. Like the video for me. If you're up, say you're up. Help us out any way you can, whether subscribing, getting in our Discord. Whoa, that's crazy. This is a, what is this? Test alert. This is a test. I just got a message from the Australian government. I think they're listening to us, boys. That was crazy. I've never heard my phone make that noise before. This was a double that we hit. This was our money line double with Ahmad Rita and Jaleel Hackett. This was our 5-way that hit. Jacob Bank, Tszyu, Kelly, Hitchens, and Berlanga. And this is like we do every week, our sort of weekly wrap up. And here we are. Today's already Monday. We're going to talk about this for at least another 45 minutes. And then tomorrow when we wake up, we have another week to get in prep for. And I guarantee there's guys in our group who are already doing film study for next week. So let me check what the Discord's saying. We don't want to sit on our wins too long. You don't want to sit on your losses too long. Win and move on. That's what I always say. If you guys aren't in the Discord, this is a live look-in. I'm going to pull up some of the boys' slips. Easy 3K. See, the boys are already talking about next week. Y'all guys are crazy. Savages. $50,000. So King, that's a crazy bet. So $50K to win $60K. I don't have that sort of bankroll. You're risking 50 to win 10. 20%. It's a good return. If you're looking at it from that end, you better have a massive bankroll to be playing like that. Cool hybrid parlay. No limit, no return. Burned. What fight burns you, bro? The over on Joshua. So you picked the over 3.5 on Joshua and Prenga. That's the one that burns you. That one hurts. I didn't bet on that fight. I didn't bet on the Joshua fight. I didn't bet on the Tyson Fury fight. I didn't bet on the Sorenko fight. There's a lot of fights I didn't bet on. 400 to win 1,300. I'm leaving here with something. Tszyu, 30. Yeah, so everyone's eating. It's good to see. Damn. As you can tell, if you're not in our Discord, everybody's eating. Trying to find that. Here we go. So this is a no return from Youngin. 50X was close. Huh. Print money. Guys are already picking dogs. I'll move on in a second. What did Combat do? All right, I'll move on in a second. I was trying to find that moonshot, but the chat's getting blown up right now. All right, this is us. I need a win after this. Guys, you have to be at least winning something, man. If you guys aren't finding wins, I don't know what you're doing. I don't know. I don't even know what to tell you if you're not finding wins. Youngin. Yeah, Youngin cleaned. Look at my man. Youngin out here eating. This is what we're talking about. This is what we want. All right, here it is. You cashed out. What was that paying? 100-1. So yeah, everyone should be doing well. We know Spence was yeah, exactly. You're not gonna fool us. I told Skeezy in the last round alone, this should just put me to sleep until it wasn't. What do you think of Najee Lopez? I like Najee Lopez. Another good American. You got to call him a contender now after his last performance. TV friendly style, always in a dogfight. I think he's in his physical prime. I'm a fan. Every time Najee fights, we tune in. He's been winning us money too on the prop market. Roach can hurt Zepeda though. I feel Pitbull is basically Zepeda with more pop. No way. Pitbull and Zepeda are two different fighters based on dimensions as well and feet and output size. I don't know, man. I just don't. We'll see. Roach isn't I'm not sure yet. Sub Johnny, great reads again this week, including today's card. I appreciate you. Zepeda is better than Pitbull. Yeah, Zepeda. I think Zepeda is better than Pitbull as well. I think he does tidier work. I think he works the levels better than Pitbull. I think he has better angles. Pitbull to me is one dimensional, and he's more like here. Zepeda, a lot of he does. He's a swarmer. You know what I mean? It's not going to be the most technically play shots, but he's going to weaponize his cardio, and you better come in shape. Some questions I want to ask is how big is the ring? What sort of ring? I know it's an odd question. I don't know if we can get that information. How big is the ring? Where's Roach at in terms of what he's taking this fight for? He seems like a guy who's still switched on with that champion mindset. Zepeda is going to want his get back after the loss to Shakur. So it's a good fight. It's going to come down to odds, guys. Like when we're looking for fights and odds, it's not necessarily like, oh, I like this guy to win. I think Zepeda at plus money and stylistically, I think his style gives Roach issues. The Swindler hat. I still got the Swindler hat. I'm actually working though, so I have a client in about 30 minutes. So that I kind of wear this when I'm training. The emergency alarm. Did it hit you too? Big fight week. Look at the fights I added to the moonshot. The sounds in the Amber Alert. Dust storm in Arizona. Great first weekend. This is Alex Henderson Hustler. We've been doing this in this platform and this system since August 1st last year. And we win a lot. And a lot of the boys in this chat have been, everyone's been here at different times. But a lot of the boys have stayed because we win. I always like hearing when guys hit on the first week. Check Major League Baseball slips in the Discord. I'll do that in a second. What I'll do, boxing fan, tomorrow on the live. I'll go over the Discord in its entirety again for all the newbies. I do want to just keep this live pretty much on the boxing action that happened. I thought Spence was trolling during camp leading up to the fight. What the skating review? I told you. All right. So I grew up in the ring. Was never a pro, which is fine. Stopped boxing as a 15-year-old, but I never really stopped boxing, okay? I coach it. I coach boxing to people who want to learn how to box and defend themselves. I still spar. I still train like a fighter. I live like a guy in fight camp at 44 years old. So what I'm saying is when I'm watching guys and I've watched their whole career, and this is why people like Billy Dibbs should be ashamed of himself. This is why Sean Porter should be ashamed of himself. This is why Terence Crawford should be ashamed of himself. Guys who are savants and world champions, they know what they saw. They were just lying to the public. Because when you watch Errol's whole career, which I have, and maybe some of you guys have, you would know what he used to look like. And you would also know the trajectory of boxing. You should know how the story ends. There's a predictive model to this when we're betting fights. And sometimes every now and then with a stylistic matchup, it's not that hard to predict. I didn't think Tszyu was that hard to predict. I look at the Tszyu underdog bet slip I made. I made it last month. When I saw he was plus 135 last June 5th, I smashed it. I was like, this is insane. You could see it. He wasn't trolling. You could, when you know what to look for, the words I kept using, slow and sluggish in his base. What is his base? Your base in boxing controls everything. How your upper torso moves, how much power is coming off your shots, how you're sliding in and out, your sharpness. He had none of that. Even in the up and under drill, he was like that. It should have been there's a sharpness and an optic to what that drill looks like. I've been around that drill my whole life. And when I was seeing him doing that drill, I couldn't believe he shared. Well, I bet you he didn't share that. I guarantee somebody in his camp shared it or somebody in the gym because it looked terrible. And that was one of the videos that I saw. Oh, he's done. One of the best weekends ever in combat sports betting. Not even trying to brag. I went 40 to 41, only missing one. But beautiful. This is what we do. You see what Ranver's saying? This is what we do. And our group is filled with us. We're a community. A year in, we're a community. It's not just me. You know what I'm saying? It started just me. I had to start it out of nowhere, and we're growing. And I've met guys like Ranver. I've met guys like Julius. I've met guys like Barium. Shout out to Boss Christos. I met in real life this weekend. I saw Boss Christos at the weigh-ins. We got a photo. That was a cool experience. We were sitting a row in front of Liam Paro, and I couldn't believe how big Liam is. He's not as tall as me. He's like 2 inches shorter than me, but the dude looked like I walk around at 185. Liam looked like he was probably 185. And I was thinking, how the hell did he ever make 140? And he looks like a small 47. So I don't know, man. Maybe I was shocked with how big he was in person. Mosby's, I got greedy. I told you UFC parlay, but I added Shiraz by knockout. Bro, the Shiraz knockout was only paying $1.50 or something. Wasn't the Shiraz knockout playing like $1.50? Kelshi held me down to get action on Tim. They wouldn't let you? They wouldn't let you bet on Tim? You like Roach by decision. I don't know yet. We'll talk tomorrow. Look, tomorrow we'll go over the week in front of us tomorrow. I'll get into it right now. Chamberlain, my dog, O'Leary ain't special. Ooh, Pierce O'Leary. This is getting hot and juicy. We're seeing people flip-flopping. I know I jumped on O'Leary early on. I don't have an official prediction yet. I think O'Leary might be on my quarterly parlay, but that could change. I do like O'Leary, though. O'Leary's going to whip Chamberlain. He went from 66% return to 40. Probably be sitting at 35 with the fight. Isn't it? It's a hometown fight for him. It's a backyard fight for him. Romero Lopez. I never trust a world current former. Yeah, same. If Chamberlain fights like he fought Rafferty, O'Leary's in trouble. Yeah. My dad, you know what my dad used to say about ifs, Julius? He'd say, if my aunt had a dick, she'd be my uncle. He was classy. He was a stand-up. He was a stand-up guy, though. All right, let's see what you boys are talking about. You guys are already talking about next week. 30 minutes into the recap live stream, and the boys are already talking about next week. I love it. Where are all the Errol Spence fans, though? Where are all you Errol bettors who were trolling me? I want you come on the live stream and tell me what you saw that you thought he was going to win. Because no one was giving me a path to victory. You guys did get under my skin, though, just as always Errol Spence fans can do. And it's just a testament to, at one time, how good he was and how much boxing fans had love for him. But it's a young man's sport. Oh, shit. They're letting us bet on the Commonwealth Games? Guys, are we getting action on this? Surely we're not betting on the Commonwealth Games, boys. Guys, wherever you are in the world internationally, check your books. Are they letting you? They're probably not letting you guys in America bet on the Commonwealth Games. Women's gold winner, 65 kilos. If somebody needs to challenge Barry on boxing, how good his women's boxing knowledge is, and see who he likes in these amateur slips, because I don't know anything about women's amateur boxing. These are the fights I'm getting so far. Next week. All right, Conwell fights next week. So this is our action. And the books will open up. Cans versus Sinan Kelly. Gary Cully versus Lee Reeves. RBS versus wow, that's a sneaky good fight. I think Royston Barney Smith will steamroll Reese Bellotti, but it's a good step up for RBS. Pierce O'Leary at 155. Yeah, those odds have shifted actually. Somebody in the chat said that those odds were going down. Pierce O'Leary 2 weeks ago, I think, was $1.35. So there's money coming in on Chamberlain actually. Let me double check that. No, he was right. I took Pierce O'Leary at $1.64. He's down to $1.55. Guys, we also have our long parlay, which is live or our quarterly parlay at plus 851. And then we have our July and August parlay at plus 538. One is a 12-legger. One is a 10-legger. Those are both live. In last quarter, we hit our quarterly parlay last quarter, so we're looking good. Two quarters in a row. Johnny, could you advise what happens to Wilson's purse? Does he get any financial compensation? I don't know, mate. It just all depends on the promoter. You got to think that's no limit. Let's check. The fight between Wilson and Fulton did not happen after Fulton missed weight. Because the bout was called off, Fulton did not receive his purse, but specific details on whether professional weight miscompensation or a kill fee was paid out to Wilson. So nothing has been reported that he got paid. Look, knowing the Rose brothers, Georgie and Matt, the guys who run No Limit, I think they probably I could see them compensating Liam Wilson. I'll ask around for you. I'll send some messages out. I know a couple guys I could ask. Zoo, pay your light bill. Perfect. Guys, if you can pay a bill, deduct it. 100%. You guys should be winning money. Stay away from amateurs, my guy. Of course. It was a bit tongue-in-cheek, mate. Betting on it. I don't even bet on I didn't even bet on the Tyson Fury card. I didn't bet on the Anthony. I don't like betting on circus shit. Like I didn't bet on Jake Paul. When Jake Paul fights, I don't bet on him. So yeah, I'm not betting on the amateurs, bro. But I guarantee folks in our Discord will. You know damn well, J-Side, folks in our Discord will. UFC for the smack. UFC for the smack. Zuffa card was a cherry on top after smashing Timmy on points. This is what we do, boys. This is what we do. Let's see what those odds are looking like on. Guys, Charles Conwell returns. Bad news. We haven't seen Conwell since he was a 4-1 favorite and he lost to Chino. And then Chino went on to fight for a world title and lost to Xander. This is Conwell's first fight back against Paul Kroll. Got to be honest with you. I don't know much about Paul Kroll, but I'll do my homework. You got to think that $1.24. I mean, $1.24 sounds really generous, even though it's only 24% on the money line for a U.S. amateur standout and a puncher like Conwell. Even though he is coming off of a loss, you got to think this fight was made as kind of like a get back fight. 21-0, 16 KOs. Who is Paul Kroll? (12-0), 8 knockouts, 2 draws. I mean, tough Philly kid. Who's he been fighting? He has a draw with Guido. Stopped a guy who was 10-15. And look, I rate Charles Conwell. I do. So if Conwell can't beat Paul Kroll, I'm still gonna tape it. But I'm already looking at like a parlay piece. We can't really expect Conwell to stay here at 24%. I think 24%. I mean, I think that's a great number for like a triple, but we'll see. I'll do Paul Kroll's tape. I know somebody in our Discord will say he's live. But other than that, and then Lamont Roach, so Zepeda is a plus 140. Moratai is fighting Conceição. So you go Moratai on points, and then depending on which one you like, either Roach or Zepeda on points. Either way is going to be plus money. Yeah, that's going to be the move. So what I would do, if you like Roach, the 64% return is a great parlay piece. If you have a big bankroll and you really like Lamont, maybe you just do that. Or Lamont on points at plus 112. Zepeda, in general JSB fashion, if I play Zepeda at plus 140, I'm going to use him as a dog. And then I might do a prop because plus 330 on points for Zepeda might feed families. That's kind of like how these guys operate. So those are early reads. A little bit of early reads for the boys. Do the DJ thing. Rodrigo. Right there, boy. Right there. Raymond Morataya. Yep. Danger. Cash that Berlanga knockout boxing. Stay up. Johnny is Conceição. He got some class to him, man. Morataya, he's been much more aggressive in his last few fights. He's good. They title around your waist, you get 30% better. We got a couple days. You guys should start, take the night off. I don't know if you're in Sydney. I'm gonna detach for at least tonight. I'm gonna stay on for probably 10 more minutes. And then I'm not gonna think about boxing again until tomorrow. And then I'll start my film study on the Charles Conwell Paul Kroll fight, Zepeda versus Lamont, O'Leary versus Chamberlain, because now Julius has me kind of interested and intrigued. So once again, it's the third time I'm going to say this on this live stream. If you're up and you have money in your sports betting account, withdraw it. Buy yourself something. Make it real. Because you don't want to be that guy who's up and then doubles down because you're greedy and then you lose. So you have nothing to show for. Zepeda is going to outwork Lamont. And that's what I see. That's, for me, I've spoken to a couple of my boys about this fight. Maybe a month ago, Tommy calls me. And we were talking about this fight. This was a month ago. And he was just talking to me about, the odds. And he thinks that Zepeda's style is going to give Roach problems and all this good stuff. So we'll see. Tipkin, hope you're doing well too, brother. Hope Russia's treating you well. Keep those vlog videos coming. I like my favorite content you make is when you're doing those videos of like their food, like the cultural differences. I think there's gold there. I love that content. Also, the ghost did me right against the guy from Arkansas. I made so much between 07 and 09. Oh, Kelly, Jermaine Taylor. I was at that fight. I got to get back to you, but give you good info. All right, JF. Be good. I think the over in Roach and Zepeda. I agree with you, Fresh. The over. I mean, I know knockouts. knockouts do happen. Like we just saw a knockout on Zuffa with 3 seconds left. And so people who pick the distance are burning, are pissed. And if you would have just picked the over, maybe the over, I'm not an over better. I'm not an over guy. And I also don't like leaving money on the table. You know, it's a 12 rounder. You pick the over 10.5. The distance pays plus 110. And the over 10.5 pays like 90%. That little gap for me psychologically makes me I'd rather just not play the over, but I'm not an over guy. I know a lot of you guys hit on the overs though. Everybody has their own styles, man. Whatever strategy you've been doing to win, stick to it. Is a good parlay piece, Bilotti. Yeah, I think Bilotti's on his way out. We see eye to eye. Let's, mate. All right. So I like Royston. He's won us money. I got other shit in the tank. All right, so this it pays 75%. We'll get more fights to add to this. But yeah, my eyes are on it. Discord's going crazy for the dude. We've created a monster. Our Discord community is a freaking machine in the best possible way. So I do have to do a little bit of. I don't like waking up to hearing guys getting. You guys are insane. I woke up yesterday to get to the news of like a race war. You guys are you guys are hilarious, man. We do like 99%. 99% of the time, it's always copacetic and educated. But every now and then, during a specific fight weekend, there'll be that 1% where folks will start trolling. But shout out to our mods, man. They silenced it real quick. But then you guys who get like put on like 48 hours ban, or guys who get put on like a 7-day ban, you guys message me, and then I have to like message the mods. You guys know who our moderators are. Don't message me. If you get put on a 7-day ban, I trust that our mods did it for a reason. Okay? Zepeda most punches landed. Zepeda most punches thrown. Toxic Ramsey is onto something. 100%. Johnny, do you think Timmy has another title run left? No, I don't think Timmy has a title run left. He did say he's staying at 160. I think Eris Landy Lara right now, even though he's 113, he beats Tim. I don't think Tim looked that good. Tim was still hesitant for me. It was almost like he lost the gear that he used to have when he would press and he would jab and throw the 1-2, and then he'd see you shell up and then he'd come back. He'd come back with that second flirt. He lost that second wave. How do you get it back? Errol Spence Jr. was the perfect opponent to. I thought he was gonna rediscover that second wave. I was pulling my hair out watching that fight because Errol was there to be taken. Errol should not have been in the ring last night. He looked terrible. He shouldn't have fought Bud Crawford. You guys know, and I'm not bashing Errol. Tim should have stopped him. Errol had no power on his shots. Everything was thrown with his arms. His feet, he was on skates the whole time. And it was just Tim. I did like the game plan. I don't want to say it was all bad for Tszyu. I applaud Fennec's game plan because from the Tszyu you saw from rounds 1 and 2 to like 3 to about 8, you could see him turning it up slowly. He was more volume. Rounds 1 and 2, he was being real patient. 3, 4, 5, he was controlling the center, and then the fight was his to lose. And then by the 6th round, he was in total control, backing Spence up, and Spence was just surviving. Every now and then, Errol would throw one of those like looping overhands that would land on Tim, Tim's right side. And all the guys I were with, it was still like Errol. The crazy thing is, with how many questions there were about both guys, even in the 12th round, I was still stressing that Errol could find a punch. You know what I'm saying? For how shot he was, Tim still wasn't boxing as confidently as I wanted him to. In this sport, you have the slightest hesitation against a killer, you're going to lose. So I don't know. I don't know how he gets that back. I don't know how to fix that. Even as how do you get a guy to add a gear that he once had that he lost? Do you know? Do you guys know what I'm talking about? That second wave of offense that he used to have, and a lot of the great ones will have it. The only time that's Solid's got the brakes beaten off of him today by Hitchens. Solid's had, I think, two good moments. I think it might have been round 3 and round 6 or 7, and they weren't good flurries. They were two times where he gets caught coming in, and then he throws a second wave of punches, and he just landed a straight right on Hitchens. That's how dominant Hitchens was. You could remember the two punches that Solis landed, but it was because he added that second wave. Now, the danger in that, especially for Solis, is because he was outmatched in Hitchens' jab and skill and speed was way too much, and he couldn't take the risk. But with Errol, he was backed up the entire time. Fighting negative, was totally, obviously, incapacitated with his years and years of trauma. His legs wouldn't work. And Tim wouldn't go through that second wave. And you're not going to win a title not doing that. The word getting out there about the Discord. I've got a few homeboys that wanted to. You're gonna have 1,000 people soon. We're growing, man. As long as everybody is like-minded like you, brother, invite them in. Pretty crazy how Gary Cully went from being a prospect calling out Shakur to now being a slight favorite over a guy who lost to a 1-5 guy. Is it Lee Reeves? Let's do our homework, LaFleur. Have you? I don't know much about Reeves. What do you take from Fennec and his corner? I didn't see. Well, the one thing that I did notice that I did like, and I just touched base on it, was the game plan. It was evident to me that the game plan was the first few rounds, don't be risky, don't rush in. He was still aggressive, still on the front foot, but he was much more. He was trying to keep his shape. He was trying to be more tactical. I didn't like, though, in the pocket when Errol would punch with him. There were like 2 or 3 moments where Tim seemed disinterested, and Errol's inside, and Tim's standing straight up and down, and Errol would just turn him, and Tim would just stand here rather than turn back or exit. So I don't know. I don't. If you're Tim's handlers, you match make them. You be careful with who you match them up against. Walking in the front door, no head movement. Well, that's always going to be the case. Fennec's not going to change anything technical about a fighter who's 31 years old. Fennec's there for the psychology of it and the execution of the design and the execution of a game plan. So I did see that sort of stuff. But at 31, any fighter in the world, you're not adding anything. Unless you put the kid in like 6 straight weeks of just slipping punches. But these guys aren't old school. Modern day boxing, you don't do things like that anymore, unfortunately. Tim damaged goods. I think Fedora took a... Yeah, it's evident. It might have been Murtazayev. It might have been Murtazayev. I think Murtazayev took his aura away, that invincibility. And then maybe you're right. Maybe then the second Seb fight took that second gear away. It's not good, though. It's like... It's disheartening. It's kind of like why I kept saying I didn't want to see Errol fight. Because there's one thing with our favorite fighters who age, in overtime, it's a progressive decline. And it's just what's expected as a fighter stays in the sport long enough. You kind of don't see it until they retire, and then you look back at their career. But there's a whole nother thing when the fighter overnight falls off a cliff due to car crashes, a bad knockout, a bad slew of knockouts, and that's what we saw in both Errol and Tim. Paulie's way better. I'll get Paulie on. I was with him this weekend. Paulie's a beast. Paulie keeps it real. Can't believe Max used to be great on HBO. Max is paid now, brother. He's paid. Ahmad Rita. Yeah, Ahmad did great. That was a fun fight, man. That was an interesting fight between a guy on the way out and a guy on the way up. It was a great litmus test for Rita. It was a great challenge. I mean, I picked against him against Bruno. Bruno was a guy who had fought at the world level multiple times and competed well. And I took Rita to lose, and when he won that fight, I was like, oh shit, Rita's a nice little technical boxer. The thing about Rita at this age, you kind of have to figure out what is your identity in there. You know what I'm saying? You're a technical boxer. You have great hand speed. You have a good gas tank. You like being on the front foot. Maybe commit a little bit more to inside fighting. Fleming is hard to look good against though, and Rita was landing big shots. Just look at Fleming's face afterwards. Fleming is a world class guy. 38 years old now. He was on his way to world title honors, and then he got stopped late against Charlie Suarez and disappeared for a few years. And that was kind of the writing was on the wall. With Rita, like I said, he's young enough. He comes from a good camp. He's well coached. You could tell he's very well schooled. I think he's a nice little technical young prospect. I put him in my top 10 prospects in Australia for sure. Callum Peters, though, is the one that I really like. The way Peters operates is totally different. You don't see a guy who Peters is going to be on you. He's kind of a mix of a volume swarmer and a boxer puncher because he's so opportunistic in there. So there was my beef with Akuso early on, 1 through 5. Paulo Akuso, when he's fighting the Dominican, he would have these moments where he would turn the Dominican and he'd out angle him, but he wouldn't punch. My coach would say punch in space or punch, fill in the gaps. Akuso would out angle the Colombian, have the Colombian shoulder, and then not punch. Now, when you watch Callum Peters, he always fills in the gaps. Callum Peters is such an opportunistic boxer to where he's out angling you, he's tapping you there, he's not sitting on much until he sees that you start to crumble. He's a lot to deal with. He's only 21, 22 years old. Probably one of my favorite Aussie prospects. I've been watching Callum since he was 16. Marketable, young, fun, fan-friendly style. They brought a tough American last fight against Joe Sean James down to Australia, which was a tough matchup. And they brought this Argentinian kid, and some of you guys said the Argentinian kid was live, and Callum Peters domesticated him early and put a beating on him. So I think Australia is in a great spot as well in boxing. They have a great amateur program. There's a lot of money in it, and there's a lot of good young fighters right now. Probably his best performance. Yeah, people who call anybody in our sport, guys, who keeps it real and does it from a non-opinionated perspective, not selling narratives, not picking sides because somebody's from this state or this country. A lot of people don't like that because the sport is filled with like loyal fan bases who don't think logically. What we do, we're all about logic because we're risking our hard-earned money to make money. Guys, this is the crazy thing. I'm going to leave you on this because I got to go. And I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing. But there's a lot of us in our group who make more money than fighters. I was thinking about that this weekend. Like this last year, betting on just boxing, I was even some fighters get paid peanuts. Some fighters on big cards are making 5,000. So when I tallied up how much money, all year I'm up, I'm like, there's fighters that don't get paid. So don't ever lose sight of the research, the work you guys put in, and the value that you're adding by accurately dissecting these matchups and then winning. So make sure you save your money. I got to go, guys. I'll see you tomorrow.